Perfect. We are live. So, welcome, guys, to this session. I welcome all the audience from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And as you guys all know, this session is going to be all about advertising campaigns. It's going to be all about creativity, copywriting, storytelling. And for this very session, I have a very special guest with me tonight in the form of Mr. Pranay Bhan. He is the national creative head of a digital agency named 1702, and he has been the mastermind behind campaigns for Fortune 500 companies. And he's that guy who can come up with taglines and copies in just seconds. And that's the fastest I've seen. So, welcome to the show, Pranay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to the audience, I'd request you to put in your names as well because we can't see who is online. So we'd love to personally greet you as well. And any questions related to advertising, any questions related to copywriting or storytelling, you're free to ask. And I'll definitely take that up with Pranay and we'll get the insights that you want. So without any further ado, starting the session, the very first question that I'm pretty much excited about, that I saw that you have been interested. You have been practicing that creative skill set since you were 5, right? You have been interested in reading and all of that. So we are intrigued to know about your journey since you were 5 years old till date.
So the thing is that when I was younger,
Yeah,
anything that was creative, or you could call it like a creative release, to be very honest,
right,
I
right,
used to indulge in that. Both my parents were educated, and so they knew the importance of really developing, all these different faculties of your brain, and they
right,
encouraged, like, go ahead, do your drawing, do whatever you want, right?
right.
He used to help me with language as well. So I, in a way, I guess, was lucky that my
Okay,
parents invested, you can say, like, back in the day, like in the 1990s, hundreds of rupees in, getting different sorts of atlas, which are illustrated,
right.
encyclopedias, your fairy tale books, and they really kind of went deep into it, right? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
fairy tale matlab not just any random one. It would be like proper Aesop's fables, your Roman, your Turkish, Egyptian stories, from the good old days.
Right.
I may say so. Interesting stuff, yeah. And of course, I also happen to read some of the more desi versions of this. Like, you have a
Okay.
Panchtantra, you have your
Yeah.
Amar Chitra Katha publications. Like, they have a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
things like that. And uh, I guess again, somewhere I guess the stars aligned. I was lucky, and our television, okay, we used to, or the cable connection basically that we had at home, it got me Cartoon Network and a bunch of other channels in English. They weren't
Okay.
dubbed into Hindi, luckily.
Right.
And
Right.
I got to see classic, William Hanna, Joseph Barbera cartoons on Cartoon Network, the Fred
Right.
and Chuck Jones, episodes of Tom and Jerry. So I got to see a lot of those as well. Uh,
Right.
I don't know if you've heard of Christian Tremblay. He's the creator of this really cool animated series called SWAT Cats. So
Right.
good stuff there in classic days. And of course, I'd get some other channels like, your Star Movies and the HBOs of the world. And naturally, I'd keep watching all of this, content in English. So
Right.
somewhere I think that helped me out, and, planted a lot of ideas in me, gave me a lot of, thinking material, if I may say so.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. It started from the age of 5, and we can see the results now. So that's great.
No, it's consistent, exposure to something that really helps you, because
Right.
let's be honest, everyone's creative. Okay,
Hmm.
extra creativity may not be as mind-boggling or impressive as Y's, but that
Right.
doesn't mean Y is the most creative, right? You have
Absolutely.
something like a Leonardo da Vinci, right? Who is known as a creative genius, as an inventor. We
Right.
never know. A few years down the line, we may have someone else. So there's
Right.
not really a limit to it, and of course, it's a comparative kind of value. It's not really quantitative, so to speak. So
Right.
there's never any end to it. You can probably equate to marketers or to advertisers basis the success of their campaigns, okay,
Right.
and probably the popularity of their content, of their ideas, of their ads. But
Right.
as a number nahi de paoge. It's like,
Exactly.
having a quantifying, showdown between, let's say, Mohammad Rafi and I don't know, Lata Mangeshkar.
Lata Mangeshkar.
How do
Right.
you do it? That's the thing. Man.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. And since you've been in the advertising industry since a very long time, and there are a lot of people who are aiming for that industry to work there. They want to explore their creativity, right? So, what do you think that are the key characteristics of a person like who wants to be a creative strategist to be able to launch campaigns for such big brands?
All right. Um, Characteristics to really ideate campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Fundamentally, I'd be very blatantly frank here. You need a bit of common sense and logical reasoning,
Hmm.
right? Uh, it's really important. Like my dad has also done his MMS, so he used to give me this funny example, like where
Okay.
someone had come for a guest lecture and they had to kind of advertise a product which was like a premix or something that kids can eat, that babies and young kids can eat, something like
Right.
a Cerelac, and
Right.
the entire the entire class kind of got heavily into planning stuff out. And I had similar stuff during my MBA as well, where we were planning something not realizing who the end buyer is and who the end consumer is.
Right.
Even if I take Cerelac for an example, you may have bright colors जो बच्चों को पसंद है, but are kids or babies buying the product? They're not. It's their moms and
Absolutely.
dads.
Absolutely.
So
It's a separate target audience.
so it's basic logic also that you need to put into play, and common sense. A lot of
Right.
times we overlook a lot of things. I myself do it, and therefore I'm like, "Arey, wait, I need to think about this." Then
Right.
I'd probably make more sense, more marketing
Right.
sense for that matter.
Absolutely.
That would be the first thing I would say. Definitely, someone really needs as a key characteristic.
Right.
Uh, Again, I'm not going to talk about creativity because that's subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, a business sense na acha rehta hai, very honestly. Having
Mm.
a reasonably good understanding of your client's business, be it a product, be it
Right.
a service, be it an experience, can be anything, right?
Right.
Uh, just have a basic understanding of their TG, how their business model works. That really helps you, because then you're able to kind of marry your creative thought with something that needs to make sense to the consumer. Because at the end of the
Right.
day, a brand will want to push out a bunch of things. You
Hmm.
will want to push out a bunch of things. But the audience doesn't want to listen to mumbo jumbo and all that jazz, right? They first want to
Right.
understand the product or your service. Then they want to understand what is the um, like what's the zone of your brand. How
Right.
do they perceive you? The question is not of what their perception is. The question is how should they perceive you
Perceive you.
to take
Right.
you from just another brand to top of mind recall, or into a stage where your brand is considered. So
Right.
only understanding the business, the TG, all these things, I would say definitely having a good business sense. That
Right.
ये होगा ना तो your copies will be on point, your strat
Cherry on the
will be
top.
on point. No, I won't even call it as cherry on top. Sure, like if you don't have a huge bunch of seniors or another team that's guiding you back into business sense wala lane,
Right.
uh, then in that scenario maybe it's a cherry on top. But in today's days and age, when you look, every city has a few thousand digital marketing agencies or advertising companies. Like if you just take a census in our country, the number
Right.
will make you feel like, okay. I think that
Right.
was the matter for advertising agencies, given the number of them and the kind of stuff that they do. You literally have
Right.
offering, but yeah. Point being, you have to look at it as a value add, and the sooner you get it, the better it is for your career.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
what else? Yeah, yeah, being insightful is good. Very
Hmm.
honestly, having a strong insight, be it a category insight, a consumer insight, whatever it is,
Right.
insight is always good.
Definitely.
Because
So I mean,
I've had a
yeah.
lot of people, tell me that look at some of the most iconic, or popular good media spent back, uh, communication by brand,
Right.
and they're like, how is this creative, right? For example, mutual fund sahi hai. A lot of my friends and colleagues and juniors, a lot of them are discussed with me and laughed about it. Imagine someone paid crores for mutual fund sahi hai. ऐसे तो कुछ भी सही हो सकता है यार. बाबा का धाबा सही है. And I mean, they have a point.
Right.
What they don't understand is they're trying to target to a mass audience. They're trying to reach out to the entire country in a way. Look at the way they're leveraging a Dhoni, etc. So,
Right.
but still, is it really insightful? Right?
Hmm.
Of course, it's subjective because if it's so massy, it doesn't really need to have an insight.
Hmm. Right.
Paytm karo. I mean, Paytm karo, kal ko aap credit karo, can be anything, right? What's the
Yes.
insight? There's no insight, but somewhere there is a frequency strategy in place, and the brand has that functional benefit that they want to kind of push forward. And
Right.
these are cases where genuinely an insight in the name, like, or in a way that we perceive the word as a,
Right.
what really is an insight here, like. Uh, it's just not needed in quite a few cases, and therefore you wouldn't even call something like mutual fund sahi as being an insightful thing. They may have something, and
Right.
obviously, and again, at a layman's term, what would be the insight? And अगर कोई बोलता है ना XYG चीज सही है, it's
तो
a much
सही है.
more reassuring, choice of words as opposed
Right.
to हाँ यार मतलब advice कर सकता हूँ. Yeah,
Right.
मैं definitely advise करूंगा. Somewhere sahi hai has a
Trust factor.
connotation of confidence
Right.
and colloquial relatability.
Right.
Multiple factors. So even though, and so again, there are some insights here. What I
Yeah.
appreciate something as basic as sahi hai, but again, it's it's
It's
better if you have something stronger. That's all.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's more of insights related to common sense. I mean, including terms in your daily life language. Like Paytm Karo. It
Mm.
became something like a daily life thing that Paytm Karo is so easy to say and
I mean, sure, it is easy to say, but
right.
the factor that, again, this is where a lot of people, a lot of marketers kind of go wrong. It's not about being easy to say.
Okay.
आज से 20-25 साल पहले एक टॉफी ब्रांड वाज लॉन्च्ड, ओके, जिसका मेनलैंड
Okay.
पे जबरदस्त एडवर्टाइजिंग हुआ था. इट्स
Hmm.
लाइक दिस. इफ आई गिव यू दैट टॉफी, there is a very high chance you won't be able to say the name out loud. It was the
Okay.
Ferrero Rocher before it. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah.
Alpenliebe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give someone an Alpenliebe without calling out the product brand name, and bus, maza aa jayega.
काम खत्म.
They
Right.
can still do it. They can still probably give it to people, ask, have a camera on, guys, or whoever, like, भैया क्या आप बोल सकते हो ये chocolate का नाम. You can do that with really young kids who aren't really privy to those ads. You can do it to probably people from a tier 2 kind of an audience who probably have not consumed it. They're more
Right.
privy to having some other brand products. Probably the brand penetration is not there. They will regard, even if you go to South for that matter, where English literacy is the highest in the country. If they're
Right.
not exposed to Alpenliebe, they won't be able to read it out loud correctly. But
Hmm.
ho gaya, right? So it's not about the simplicity of it.
Right.
And
Right.
again, simplicity, again, how easy is it to say? You remember there used to be a toffee called Kiss Me.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
still
Yes.
there.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Really easy to say, a great excuse to say. And where has it made its mark or made its return again in popular culture? TikTok. Now you choose. Where do you want your brand to go?
Exactly. Got your point. Got your point. So these are the things. I mean, as you rightly said, common sense, logic, and analyzing all the factors. From a long term vision is very very important. And so continuing on to this, we have talked about that you have launched various campaigns for various big companies. So if you can walk us through what happens behind the scenes, what is the back end work that goes into launching a campaign, right from brainstorming to actually launching that campaign on a social media or any programmatic channel?
Okay. Uh, so fundamentally, we work based on a client brief. And
Okay.
when it's a retainer client, like a client that's been with us, that's with us month on month, uh,
Right.
they just tell us a business problem. And even if we get a brief from any client as a project, we first
Right.
ask them, boss, what's your real business problem?
Hmm.
You know, if you've seen Three Idiots, you remember that dialogue, कहना क्या चाहते हो? For us, it's more
Yeah.
like करना क्या चाहते हो? And
Right.
many times
Right.
it's not even karna. We just ask them, क्या चाहते हो? करना है नहीं
Hmm.
करना becomes a second level of conversation, which depends on the clients or the marketing teams,
Right.
finance, or the budget that they're willing to spend. We
Right.
don't even bother asking that initially. We'll first be like, boss, first you tell us what is it that you really want. Now, at my agency at 1702, we focus a lot on the D2C type of brands, direct to customer,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Direct to consumer. Now, the thing is that they're different brands in a different stage of their life cycle, and each one will have a different sort of a business problem when they approach an agency. Okay,
Right.
and
Right.
going to an agency or going to advertisers would just be like, boss, just help me improve my sales,
Hmm.
because that is fundamentally the solution to most problems,
Right.
right?
Right.
They
Right.
think the only way to kind of draw this is to get money, and if they can't, get more investors or take more loan or whatever it may be, can't mobilize funds, chalo, I have a little money, let me put it on advertising. And
Advertising.
then the pressure
Right.
that comes on the advertisers is tremendous.
Right.
So what we do is we straight away ask them, okay, brief and all is cool. Tell me what is it that you truly want. Okay.
Hmm.
If they
Hmm.
say that we have a digital budget, we want more reach for our pages,
Right.
and we'll suggest something accordingly. Like, let's audit your page. Let's tell you how to have like a proper brand tonality, visual tonality, content tonality.
Right.
Voila.
Right. Right.
Let's look at some, hub hygiene content models, whatever it may be. If it's integrated, if it has mainline, then again advising them, okay, if the so and so is your TG, the best spots where we can target them. Okay, since we have a media department,
Right.
so they kind of give us their own insights, right? They'll be like, oh, you're targeting a 40-year-old guy. Well, guess what? If he's not from Sec A plus,
Hmm.
he's from Sec A, Sec B plus, and all. There's a 99.9% chance he has M indicator on his phone. They're like, okay. Then they'll be like,
Right.
there's a 70% chance he has a Xiaomi device on him. We're like, okay, probably that inventory
Right.
we can figure out. I see,
Right.
step by step we move towards things, right? We're like, oh, it's a 20-year-old, male that you want to target, 20 to 25. He's going to be following those chicks on TikTok and Instagram. Let's check out these TikTok, Instagram pages and stalk their followers. We'll find
Right.
stalk comments. We'll find these people. Uh,
Right.
just stuff like that. Yeah, I believe it just helps.
So it's majorly about aligning the business objectives with your whatever you're going to do in the future.
Like, I don't know about others, but at least for us, यार पहले business problem देखो. Once you
Hmm.
identify that business problem, right? I,
Right.
I give you like, okay, I'll break it down into 3 steps. Okay, I'll make it very simple.
Right.
So पहले you identify that core solution that the client truly needs. It can
Right.
either be I want more views, I want more reach, I want more sales. Fundamentally, some of them are more
Right.
intelligent and they'll tell you. So we have, for example, an e-com business or a brand store, and I'm having a specific problem of many people abandoning their carts. So then you
Okay.
focus on that problem. Right? So
Right.
first you
Right.
identify that and you identify the core solution. You have a fundamental idea that I need to do
This.
XYZ as an actionable, not as communication.
Hmm.
Actionable. Because again,
Right.
well, first in today's day, everything is trackable. So whatever advertising efforts are there, it will come down to something that is trackable, something that gives you tangible returns that your client would at the end of the day kind of respect.
Right.
Uh, so first you figure out that solution fundamentally, like what's the core solution going to be.
Right.
Then your creativity ka layer comes, but again that needs to be inside back, like I said before.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
add a layer on top of it, right? It can be your email or campaign, whatever it is. How are you packaging it? What are your subject lines going to be like? Stuff like that.
Right.
You have an insight basis that there's a layer of creativity added. And
Hmm.
finally, at the end of the day, you come up with your communication, audio, visual, whatever formats you choose.
Right.
Fundamentally, these 3 things. Yeah, if you're unable to even know the actual solution to XYZ business's problem,
Right.
whatever insight, whatever creativity, whatever communication you come up with, it
Is
all
of no
falls back.
use. Absolutely.
Likewise, if you have the right solution and your communication is on pack, on point, but your insight, that creativity is not so strong,
Right.
then you're. It's like again, that's your mutual fund sahi hai. Right. There's
Right.
no major creativity. It is a proper communication AV which is in place. It's a proper, sort of core solution that you're offering to people. Oh, you want to grow your money? उसके लिए
Right.
mutual fund सही है. Any other risky investment we won't advise. Mutual fund सही है.
Which say right.
So you have 2 things. बीच का चीज बाकी है. So that's it.
Insights.
So and
Right.
likewise at the end of the day, your insight, your creativity would be great. Your core solution, your core product, whatever it is, that would be great. And your communication is falling flat.
People won't get perceptions don't form that way.
Then what? Then फायदा क्या हुआ? Then your
Right.
investment into advertising, the returns you're getting, not that great.
Right. So all three should fall into track.
Definitely. Take one brand's example, okay? Look at Google. See the ads Google makes for the Indian market. So
Yeah.
for Google, Google My Business, see
Yeah.
the ads for
Yeah.
that. They're so functional, plain Jane, ठीक है, आके चली गई.
Right.
Vis-a-vis for the other Google search for maps and all, if you remember the Indo-Pakistan,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
where one lady,
Lost friend.
yes, the lost friend one, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I hope the audience must have seen this one. So
Yeah.
you see the brand value of investing in content and doing something like that. Media
Right.
spend दोनों में था. वो
Hmm.
Google My Business वाला भी काफी channels पे, काफी digital पे, it was pumped everywhere.
Right.
Plain Jane, कब आया कब चलेगा, you don't care.
पता भी नहीं चला. Right.
That one stays on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It comes down to
Definitely.
that, yeah.
Got your perspective, and that's a really nice perspective that I'm sure will help out a lot of people who are heading in the direction of advertising campaigns and making those in the future. Now we talked about the 3 steps to come up with a campaign, but what are your insights on the post implementation analysis? When you launch a campaign, it's a risk and sometimes those fail. How do you make sure that you take learnings from that campaign and use it for the second campaign? Has it ever happened, a case study or something like that with you?
Okay. So I'll give you an example. सबसे पहले again, let's give it very real, okay?
Right.
Post campaign, either of two things will happen.
Yeah.
या तो शाबाशी मिलेगी या डांट पड़ेगी.
Right.
There is no midway.
Right.
Okay. If you've done slightly better, there is a higher chance of you getting a little bit of a scolding. Like above average, maybe padega. Why didn't you push a little more?
Intensity will change.
It will change. It'll be like clients want to motivate you. Your seniors want
Right.
to motivate you. So you can't.
Right.
If you could do so much, a little more effort could have taken you up, right?
Right.
So that's there. And of course, when something really does well, you get a thumbs up. So
Right.
fundamentally, post-campaign analysis, step number 1, maintain a calm state of mind and
Right.
genuinely getting to, analyzing the campaign with a neutral perspective. Don't look at a campaign from a sentimental bias कि अरे ये कॉपी मैंने लिखा था, ये क्रिएटिव पे मैंने काम किया है, ये वीडियो का
Right.
डायलॉग मेरा. अरे shut up, yeah. It doesn't matter. Genuinely doesn't matter. You can have 10 different, like there was this one campaign I did and where there was good, media spend, and I had someone from my team who was entirely taking charge of the copies.
Right.
Copies were, I'd say they were above average. I won't say they were bad, but I won't say they were
Right.
great. And then on its own, someone picked up that campaign's, communication, and made a slightly, adult joke, kind of a meme on it, and that picked up like anything.
Okay.
Just to kind of give a matching parallel, you
Right.
remember the memes that were made on ये मैं कर लेता हूँ, आप
ये
टीम
करो.
बना दीजिए, right?
Right.
So people made crazy memes around that. So the campaign thought that I had come up with, okay, that somehow did get picked up and memes started getting formed with better copies, better relatable, interesting sort of content. But obviously they were going in a zone that the brand was not comfortable with. So that's again a very, very, I'd say a very clear example of, good content or the potential for a, content bucket or a communication to really explode.
Right.
Really, you really playing safe and just doing something pretty basic, pretty neutral. I've had
Right.
most of the campaigns in my life have been fairly neutral. They have not tanked, they have not bombed, but they have not run tremendously well. But they have kind of bothered along this one path of safety, where
Right.
whatever the clients have invested, they have gotten a certain amount of returns on it to the point that they've trusted me with the next campaign.
Right.
While we've done something, it has genuinely gone, viral in a way, and we've seen comments, by people, "Are marketing 100," and internally I'm like, yes, this is what I want. All other awards and all is too fancy for me.
Right. These comments matter.
The line saying creativity 100, marketing 100, I'm like, yes, that's
Right.
all. But again,
Absolutely.
it's subjective again. So it's fun to do things like this. It's
Right.
fun to get appreciated by the masses, but we shouldn't forget that at the end of the day, we are running a business, or we are helping a
Yes.
business run itself by
Right.
providing our sensibilities in the form of copy, in the form of creators, in the form of communication.
Right.
So we should take that role a tad bit more seriously than just showcasing our creativity and our crazy ideas.
Absolutely. That's a great point because we as advertiser, I mean, we connect so much to the copy, to the creative that we work on that, I mean, we are not ready to believe that this didn't work. And that is where we go wrong.
Post campaign analysis has to be done from every angle. Analyze the
Right.
creative, analyze the copy. अगर digital पे हो रहा है, back end पे you have so many tools, right? The cost per click, your cost per lead.
Yeah, yeah.
At my agency, we have this entire, since we have a department, we're very
Right.
sorted. Okay, every few days to every few weeks, depending on the duration of the campaign, we just keep
Right.
optimizing. The media
Okay.
team very smartly will identify certain things, send like, "Arey, see guys, la, these are the things we have identified. See if you can tweak some content around it." It's
Right.
been fun here because that way, real time, I can see week on week.
See
Okay,
what's
we
happening.
work on these kind of
Right.
stories, we use these kind of visuals, we sorted.
And also A/B testing is a would be a key part
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening.
Fortune पे
Right.
भी done so much like fun stuff. Okay, पंजाब मार्केट में क्रिएटिव चलाना है. अगर हम छोले भटूरे दिखाएंगे, will the creative get more clicks or will aloo puri get more clicks? Now
Hmm.
between you and me, we can keep debating. Like, oh, I'm a North Indian, I know them. You'll be like, oh, I have Punjabi friends, I know them. Another one
Right.
will be like, oh, I am Punjabi, I know it better. Who cares? Yeah? You do an
Right.
A/B testing and get it over with. After a couple of weeks, we realized it was aloo puri.
Okay.
Then we proceed to the next thing. Is the messaging working better?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we work on some variations on the copy. We've gone all out with our integrated campaigns that way. So
Right.
definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah, but the post campaign analysis is overhyped, very honestly. It's just done to kind of accumulate data and then, talk about the big number. Oh, you know this brand had this problem, then we came in as saviors and we gave them 3x, 4x, 5x. It's fun to say that. Yeah, I'm guilty of it myself, but fundamentally, it's best to have a sort of campaign which keeps optimizing itself along the way. Have
Right.
a go-to team of strategy and copy working with your media planners. You're good to go. Regardless of
Right.
category, regardless of sector, you're sorted.
Right. Absolutely. That's a great answer, and that's a great way of looking at the. I mean, what I could learn is there's no post implementation analysis in a good campaign. There's always a analysis going on every day if you want to run a good campaign. So
Exactly.
that's a great thing. And I mean, a lot of advertising agency owners and people doing advertising who will be watching this in the future. That's a great insight for all of them.
I see your
Yeah.
audience has a lot of young people,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
care about digital marketing. So tell them something interesting that they probably may find, fun to hear about. So
Right.
there's a big ass campaign, like where crores में खर्चा होने वाला है, be it
Right.
online, integrated, offline, all of them. What good brands and good agencies do is they invest and set up something that's known as a war room.
Okay.
So I'm sure a lot of your audience must have seen something like the Dark Knight movies
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some interesting, terrorist dramas where you have huge screens on the wall, one around another. There are custom dashboards designed, and you have the custom metrics coded and put there, which are being
Right.
tracked in real time, and you'll have multiple screens looking at multiple platforms, looking at, where are we trending on Twitter, etc.
Right.
Big branded campaigns, you do have a war room, and anyone who's really passionate about doing digital marketing for someone, not like
Right.
not as a freelancer, but as someone who wants to really work for corporate brands or for big agencies for that matter, or
Right.
even medium-sized agencies like us. Uh, this is something that you should look forward to doing because it's fun.
Right.
It's very stressful. I won't deny that because you see it live, but it's
Yeah.
also fun. So there
Right.
was a war room when we were doing this campaign with Edelweiss Tokyo Life a couple of years back and even last year, where we were
Right.
doing this organ donation drive, and we ended
Okay.
up setting two world records: one for maximum number of people pledging to donate their organs in 24 hours, and
Right.
maximum from a campaign.
Yeah.
So, and imagine you have those numbers tracked,
Just playing on the screen.
landing page se seedha on the screen, big size numbers, and you're like,
Right.
I have worked on 1,000 by 1,000 creators for this, and now I have this 4,000 by 4,000 resolution number, the outcome
Right.
in my face. So
Right.
it's crazy fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a new thing. I mean, I didn't know about this, that this happens. It's a great insight out
Oh,
there.
it's actually not new. It's been happening for a while now. At least
Okay.
few years now. That any big campaign, all your CXOs or your senior marketing people will be coming together, both from the agency side, client side, and there will be a war room set up where any big
Right.
campaign that you see, they'll monitor.
Absolutely. Can totally imagine that room and the kind of discussions happening in that room regarding those numbers.
Imagine the room for IPL. Wouldn't you want to be there? I'm not a
Absolutely.
data guy per se. Like I'm not someone who's into machine learning and all. Like I haven't done that. But
Right.
even so, I would love to go there, see that data, maybe come up with some sort of analysis for the same. Obviously, I can't crunch so much, but it'll be fun to be in that war room for IPL, for example.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great thing. And we were talking about various campaigns. We were talking about the art of actually having the right communication strategy. And I think storytelling is that one element which is the key in terms of communication. So, how do you think, through some examples, that how
Sure.
does storytelling play a very important role in advertising campaigns?
That's a very very twisted question. How does it play a very important role? I'll tell you if it plays a role or not. The
Okay. Okay.
importance, because, and the reason I'm saying that is because the importance of storytelling. Again, not many people will tell you this, but I'm just being very candid. This is my personal experiences and observation.
Right.
As much as I have been a storyteller since my school days, and I meet some friends from school even today, and they make fun of me like, "Oh, I remember you used to tell stories."
Right.
Integrating storytelling with your brand is something that is not always mandatory. It's not.
Okay. Okay.
Does it help? Of course. Of course it does. Is it
Right.
mandatory? No. Unless and until you really have a story to share, unless and until you really have the right narrative to come up that you've come up with that can really impact your core TG or ideal TG for that matter, don't bother. Begin
Right.
with something, transactional. Begin with something functional. It depends on the stage. Does your brand have a story for that matter? That's an
Hmm.
important question.
Right.
If your brand doesn't really have a story, don't waste your time in thinking about, oh, I need you to integrate storytelling with my account. Sure, I
Hmm.
mean, I can do it. That's not a
Right.
problem. You can do it. Like you take 5 boring steps, you turn it into a nice, doodled out, fun, interactive carousel for your consumers. Even a boring
Right.
5-step process becomes an amazing interactive journey. I have done that for a buying guide, an air purifier buying guide 4 years back or 5 years back, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
Sure, मतलब करने के लिए कर सकते हैं. Okay,
Right.
what is the outcome?
Hmm.
Does it really, do you really think that it would cause a proper jump or an improvement in the purpose that that content has to solve?
Right. 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 So you're saying
And
if the brand doesn't have it, if the brand doesn't have a story, then it's no use creating a story for a brand and driving it
you
users.
can. Again, I'll give you an example. Okay, look at a brand like Rebel Foods. Okay, now
Okay.
Rebel
Okay.
Foods has multiple product offerings under them, multiple core brands under them.
Right.
Let's take a look at Beros Biryani. The
Yeah.
entire brand is built up on a fictitious story. It's not even copywriting, it's long format copy. It's
Right.
content writing completely. They came up with
Right.
an entire narrative, a fictitious kingdom of Berus that was destroyed for a certain recipe of biryani and whatever. They've recreated it and all that jazz. It's built
Right.
on that. There's an identity built on it, right? They didn't have a story, but they created one.
Right.
Again, coming back to the question, the importance of storytelling. If you have a good story, it's important to share it. If you don't have a
Right.
good story, don't share it. It would
Hmm.
ruin the experience.
Right.
When you see
Right.
any brand, again, I won't take names, and I'm sure you must be remembering brands which have weird, funny narratives in their ads, and you're like, yeah, how are these things related?
Related. Right. Right.
It's very random. And you don't even do it like, again, the Japs do it well. The Japanese, they're finding those very interesting relations. Of course, they have bad ads, but some of them they really do it well.
Right.
Outrageous connections between things, bringing in sentiment here, there, smart stuff.
Right.
You need to know if you don't have a story how to have the right kind of story. You come up with multiple options, do some testing internally with some audiences, and
Right.
proceed with it. So, but don't force it. And again, storytelling need not be a huge story. Yeah? Look at something like CTAs. Like
Yeah.
in the day, what would you see? More info, or click for more info. Okay. With time,
Right.
what has that evolved into? Tell me more.
Right.
You tap on a tell me more button. But
Right.
brands that really care, or I should say companies that really care about building a brand, there are sites that have the no more button, more like, what? Really? That's the
Hmm.
comma, really? Question mark. That's the button for more info.
Right.
And it's
Absolutely.
and that's when you realize copywriting is fun when you understand who your TG is. You understand storytelling need not be elaborate. It can be smart, short, crisp, and it's taken care of. And you can put storytelling anywhere, from push
Right.
notifications to even CTA buttons. You can.
Absolutely. A great example. I mean, storytelling in two words. What really? I mean, that is that thing. And absolutely agreed with what you said. If brand doesn't have a story, it's no use forcing upon a story and then making users, being. I would say it's a confusion in a bad state. That how are they related, right?
Paytm such a smart example here. They don't really have a story. Why
Yeah.
do it? Simple. Paytm karo.
ATM karo. Right.
Hits the nail at the right spot. It has turned their product, their app into a verb. Sorted. Series.
Absolutely. Now we have a question from the audience, and Aman is asking, in the era of OTT, what is the future of television advertising according to you?
In the era of OTT, भाई अभी OTT की era आई नहीं है. Very honestly, if you
Right,
look at the number of people, tangibly speaking, that are on that are paid viewers to OTT platforms, or even
right,
paid for that matter. Like when you're borrowing your friends' accounts, or XYZ content is free
right,
for you
right,
to watch. The only reason people are watching it nowadays is because of the digital revolution with respect to the digital architecture, the internet
right,
architecture in our country, with
right,
your ideas and Vodafones and Geos kind of adapting their prices and ensuring mass adoption.
right,
Definitely, you do have a lot of second screen consumption becoming primary screen consumption. However,
right,
what you need to keep in mind is that people of India are street smart at the end of the day,
right,
even on a very low level. An Indian consumer knows era गैरा कैसा भी ब्रांड ना डिजिटल पे ऐड कर सकता है.
right,
Any brand can do it. Chinese brands can do it. Again, nothing against China, but you know what I'm talking about. Brands basically that are not really brands. It's probably just a like a company name someone has registered and they're trying to sell a product or a service, whatever it may be.
right.
Anyone can advertise on digital. However, if your brand's ad is on television, you are a more credible brand.
Hmm. Correct.
There is a proper psychological bias that television will hold for the next 40, 50 years easily, very easily.
Right,
The future of television advertising, I mean, look at the spends at even your Super Bowl.
right.
Look at the spends at IPL. Look at the spends. Arey, chuck all of this. Look at the spends during Big Boss. The ad slots during Big Boss.
Massive, massive.
Roadies. My God, it has
Roadies.
so many
Yeah.
things. How? Where do you think the money comes from? Ads. And in
Right,
today's age, again, let's be honest. You go to even if you open, let's say, YouTube on a neutral machine, like a public machine or something, or you create a new ID which has zero cookies whatsoever, it'll just
right,
ask your location. If you would say any part in India, Indian TV shows episodes are your first recommended things, then your movie trailers, then
right,
all of this is in your YouTube recommendation list just by putting in your location. So you
right.
understand your mainline television is what is pushing content on digital, on a YouTube, and of course even for OTT for that matter, right? I mean, a lot of
Right.
OTT platforms do have ads as an option. You want a free
Yes.
membership, you watch XYZ ad and then you continue watching.
Yes.
The
Yes.
costs of those ads, they're not small. But
Right.
even then, We all know that advertising spends for television, the bare cost per second, the cost of frequency that you're going to put. It's a bigger brand, it's a bigger company that's doing it.
Right.
The bias will always be there, especially for the Indian consumers. Again, mass Indian consumers are still on television, not on a mobile.
OTT.
And even if
Right.
the transition does happen in the next 50 years, the psychological bias of knowing that any good brand is capable of putting money on television. However, any era gera brand that is not so great, that's also trustworthy, will not have the financial, power to run an ad.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So that trust factor is not going there from television.
It can't. Not anytime soon. Definitely not
Right.
anytime soon.
Right, absolutely. So I think Aman has got his answer that, OTT is not, I would say, going beyond television marketing in anytime soon. OTT will stay. I think what is your perspective there? OTT is going to be a growing market. Do you think so?
Of course, it's going to grow here. The adoption is going to grow over the next, few decades, not even 50 years. It's going to be crazy. And
Right.
slowly but surely, you can see a lot of OTT platforms not charging a massive subscription fee,
Amount.
right? Tomorrow, there is going to be an aggregator who's going to come up and say that, oh, you just pay for me and I'll give you XYZ OTT services for free along.
Right.
You any which ways get that with large scale, internet recharges or a TV purchase.
Right.
That's tech, right? So, and again, let's be honest. Look at television also. Your television max right now is giving out full HD. The
Right.
quality of your broadcast, even your
Right.
set-top boxes, not more
Right.
than that. So your OTT platform at the end of the day is going to give you proper 4K content. It's going to give you HDR content, Dolby Vision content.
Right.
There are things that you watch on the TV, but via an OTT platform. So, and
Right.
obviously the kind of quality of, even the content with respect to the story, etc., not just the visual quality or the other tech specs.
Right.
It's there on OTT, yeah. So it's definitely growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, talking about the advertising campaigns, one more question that pops up in my mind and would be very, very relevant to such a young audience is, let's say we all are somewhere aiming to be, creating such campaigns for big brands. So for that, the biggest step is giving the interviews, right? For being a part of such big agencies or being a part of corporates. So you have taken many interviews in the past and you have seen the kind of the kind of environment that goes on there. So what is your mindset when you are actually interviewing a person, and how do you see that, okay, this is the person that is fit for the advertising team?
Someone who's very relentless when it comes to ideas.
Okay.
If I may kind of use a very simple, metaphor.
Right.
When you're playing any sport or any game which involves aiming, it can be take a pebble and throw it at that pole 10 feet away, or it
Right.
can be archery. Okay. Even if you're shooting for that matter,
Right.
your every hit will not hit the bullseye.
Correct.
Instead, imagine firing 100 arrows simultaneously, or having a machine gun which fires a multiple bullets at the same time, or whatever, right? You get multiple,
Right.
attempts basically. By chance, one, two, three might come
Hit the
close to
target.
what might work.
Right.
So in our agency and in the industry, I think there's this one slang that we use. We call them brain farts.
Right.
If you can come up with good brain farts on the fly, I'm happy. Because
Right.
you give me 10 brain farts, I'll identify two which are closest and can be worked
Yes.
upon. You take
Right.
these two, you come up with 5 ideas each, and again, with 10 things, you come to me and ask me that, okay, now what do you think? That's being relentless. Out of those 10, I reject all and I say, probably this one you can polish out. You revisit
Right.
it, you do something for that one, and you try to come up with a newer insight based on the feedbacks I've given. So
Right.
that's being relentless. How does this help? At the end of whatever, let's say I have 5 days as a deadline thing. Okay, let's say it came in on a Monday. By Friday, let's say I as a CD or whatever, I have an idea.
Right.
You as someone who's new or who's a junior or who's a senior, whatever, you
Yeah.
also come up with a really good idea. Fundamentally, the agency now has two solid, insightful ideas that they can internally debate upon, and probably sometimes you even get to pitch that, right? Like,
Right.
I don't really care. It can be an intern, it can be my finance head. In fact, I've gotten some pretty interesting copies from my finance guy.
Right.
So
Right.
you give everyone a chance. Yeah? It doesn't really matter. So in an interview, if someone doesn't show me that enthusiasm and that knack for coming up with ideas more than
Right.
anything else, I'm not that impressed. Sure, you can have great English. I know so many interns nowadays who have a better command over English. I've seen
Right.
so many people who have a better command over Hindi.
Right.
I'd say I'm fairly decent, maybe above average in both the languages. But it's how you marry these two. You understand the pulse, the psychology of your TG. That's how you even crack the third language of English. Right?
Right.
You can do Hindi, English, all three. You have a fair understanding of how copywriting can work basis different tonalities of different brands, basis
Right.
different scenarios, basis different contextual relatability for different target segments or for different seasons.
Right. Right.
Translation ho jayega. Don't worry about it.
Right.
That's why I do not break my head over, like, oh, your grammar is not 10 on 10. My grammar is not 10 on 10. Unless
Right.
because it's a long form content writer, then please, yeah, I don't want to teach you grammar. But if you're into short form copy, it's fine. Come
Yeah.
up with an idea for a good, smart visual. Come up with ways to innovate the formats on your LinkedIn, your Instagram, anything. Just show me that enthusiasm. Have a basic
Right.
level of understanding of how businesses work or how the advertising landscape is. Basic stuff. Even on digital, I will not expect someone whom I'm interviewing, especially like for newcomers.
Right.
So, how much spend have you managed? So, how big campaign have you kind of worked on? All that is just overwhelming and
Right.
unnecessary. Show me your blog,
Hmm.
but don't tell me, hey, I have a blog. Talk to me saying actual data and showing me your content, whatever level of creativity you have.
Right.
Don't show me like four poems and say like, okay, this is my thing. Take me through your blog. Tell me that every week, let's say I upload one poetry or whatever. Every month it can be one for all I care.
Right.
Tell me metrics. Ki I have not spent money or I have probably spent a little money, but now every week consistently I get 500 people coming and reading my content.
Right.
That's when I know that you're actually serious. Not like when you're like, hey, I have an Instagram page, I share funny memes. Okay, great for you,
Right.
man. Like, become an Instagram meme page owner and probably make money out of that. Again, that's not wrong. But
Right.
that's something you're good at, and if that's something you enjoy, follow that. There's money to be made in every, nook and corner of digital marketing.
Right.
But if you want to come to the agency side, if you want to really become someone who understands content, communication, brand tonality, the market, all these things, I'd expect a little bit of effort from your end as well, and a lot of passion.
Right. Right, absolutely. And that's a great thing that a lot of people are focusing on tools. A lot of people are focusing on the hard skills more as compared to the soft skills or the skills of coming up with new ideas. So I mean that is um
This doesn't help. You come
right.
to me and tell me that I know 5 different softwares that help in online reputation management or whatever
Right.
CMS. Can you leverage that and come up with the right kind of content that will really help my brands? Or if I'm the client,
Mm,
my brand,
right.
right? It's pointless. Yeah? I don't need someone who can use a Wacom tablet and a Huon tablet and an eyeball tablet. Use one, make good stuff. I'm sorted. The client
Right.
is sorted, the business is sorted. So no one really, at least real professionals and seniors in the industry, no one asks you for multiple things.
All this.
It's good to
Absolutely.
have an idea, but have a forte in something. Have a tangible metric you can talk about, and then they will respect you.
Right. Absolutely. That's a great perspective, and I'm sure this will help out a lot of budding on digital marketers out there. Now, at the end of the session, I have a fun game for you, Pranay, wherein
Sure.
I'm going to have a rapid fire round with you
Oh,
and giving you choices, giving you certain statements or whatever comes to your mind. You can say it out loud. So
Sure. Let's have fun. Yeah.
yeah. So the first choice that I'm giving you is: would you prefer meme marketing or influencer marketing for any of your
Why
campaigns?
not just take influencers who do meme marketing? Yeah.
Ah,
Best of both worlds.
right. Absolutely. दाग अच्छे हैं और कुछ मीठा हो जाए. Which is better as a copy?
Yeah, daag अच्छा है. It has that shock and not awe, but shock and awe value. The
Right.
narrative and all behind it. I prefer daag अच्छा है, definitely.
Absolutely. One brand that you wish you work for or you create campaigns for in the future.
Oh, I'd love to work on a condom brand, yeah. Maybe Durex or Kama Sutra. I'd love to work on them. I have some campaign thoughts in mind, and I think it'll be fun to work on, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Your favorite brand when it comes to visuals plus copy.
Oh, the kind of content done, I think, by Ogilvy for MP Tourism.
Right.
That's so close to heart. I've enjoyed those ads, and I think that's when you make, like, there is an objective business
Right.
output that you want. Okay, tourism, but how do you make it fun? That piece of content that you do in a minute or so, that makes you want to genuinely go to MP, and it stays in your mind.
Absolutely.
Amazing repeat value. I MP tourism campaigns my personal favorite, at least domestically. Really
Right.
love.
That's great. That's great. What is that one campaign you wish you were a part of the ideation table? You wish you were there and you wish you could actually pitch in something to make that campaign a better success.
A better success. Okay.
Yeah.
Which campaign would have better success?
Or maybe a scenario where you feel that if you were there, you could have turned around things or you could have done it in a way that was not explored.
Hmm. Uh, I think there was this. What brand was it? I think it was Urban Ladder.
Okay.
No, I think it was Urban Clap, if I'm not mistaken. One of them. I think it was Urban Clap, Urban Company. At one point of time, these guys had used this gentleman, Aishman Khurana, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so there were some functional ads and some interesting stuff that they'd done, but I think I could have done a better job.
Right. Absolutely. And how what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear about advertising controversies? What is
Advertising
your
controversy.
controversies? Yes.
Yeah, it depends on the nature of the controversy, honestly. Like,
Right.
like there was this ad by Cast 24/7. I think I mentioned it sometime where
Yeah.
they came up with a concept, a narrative which was along the lines of you can like exchange your car, like you can exchange your husband in, like, use him for 5-7 days if you're not happy, you can exchange. And obviously it's something very mean to say, because
Right.
again, what is the insight out here? Fundamentally,
Hmm.
what the team that has worked on it, or the brand, whatever, somewhere they believe that, okay, men are a more mature kind of gender, and they can take a joke. Okay,
Right.
but when you say something like that, not realizing the implications, like, what if we switch roles here?
Hmm.
Imagine the ad with men saying the same about their wives, or even the
Right.
concept going out. Imagine the hue and cry. But point is, I don't know if the ad is still running or not, or they've either pulled it down. But again, like, sure, like, you do have a pretty strong insight. And again, like, even if we look back personally in our lives, there's a high probability that, even if we close our eyes and we think about it, more of our male friends can probably take a joke better than a woman. But then again, even something like this is something where even the one who can take, all the possible jokes will be like, "Arey bhai, this is a bit too much."
Right. Right. Absolutely. And it's very important, especially in the advertising field, that you don't hit the sentiments of the TG. So how do you avoid that? How do you make sure it's not happening?
Mm, Again, a lot of it boils down to something like common sense and logical thinking.
Right.
Um, like, I give an example. Okay, long back, I think it was Amazon or some brand which had done this New Year wishing post or something, with
Right.
a bunch of Indian languages kind of overlapped on top of each other as a typography treatment.
Right.
And I think they were wishing them Happy New Year or something.
Hmm.
And they'd forgotten the Sindhi text.
Hmm.
And obviously the internet kind of blew up on it. And again, let's identify this problem head on. Okay,
Right.
a brand wants to wish Happy New Year and they want to talk to the people of India, so they decide to use typography and you take multiple.
Right.
The designer who worked on it probably has used his head, did a decent job. The team that looked at it looks fine, decent job.
Right.
Senior management looked at it, oh, good concept, it's simple, straightforward, decent job.
Right.
And boom, it has exploded. Why? Because Arey, Sindhi nahi dala, and people are taking
Hmm.
offense.
Right.
Is it wrong on the Sindhi community's part or whoever kind of raised the issue to make a big human cry about it? Not really. I mean, it's fine.
Hmm.
I can understand because they may be one of the biggest or, even a small fraction of our customer base. It doesn't really matter how
Right.
much business you do. Even if there's one person buying it and, he takes offense to it, it doesn't matter. Why? Because people want to associate with your brand. When
Right.
something like this happens, you look at it from a different lens and probably do something else. Here, what the brand did was they did an apology and they had a revised creative kind of going out.
Right.
Okay. And they tried to handle the situation there. What would I have done? I would have created a follow up kind of wish with
Right.
another bunch of Indian languages that are not on that creator,
Right.
including Hindi, and I would have released it and told them, guys, there are more coming. There are possibly several hundreds or thousands of languages in our country, and
Right.
you know it's impossible to kind of give respect to all of them in that same
One
frame.
creative.
So
Right.
one after another, I'd probably even change the copy also. In one, I'd probably say Happy New Year. Probably the next one will be Cheers to a glorious whatever 2000 whatever the year was. Stuff like that.
Right. Right.
I'd use it as an opportunity and try
Hmm.
to play it in that line. Tell them and tell people again, you are human. We are human, even as an entity, even as a brand. We are human as well. So we've
Right.
done here. Now there's going to be new. Probably we'll do another one. I would have done probably a third one
Hmm.
and make it more inclusive. Like, why not? I would take that agitation as an insight. Okay, oh, there are people out there from different communities who want to be
To be associated.
mentioned or associated by our brand. Let's do it again.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
So turning those, I mean, situations into opportunities and
Yeah.
making sure you're doing that.
I
Definitely.
remember a few years back when Game of Thrones was the rage, one of the
Yeah.
episodes was leaked out
Yeah.
and it had the Star TV logo on it.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
cry about it, and Twitter was in a frenzy. I again, had I been there, I would have had fun with it. I'm like, okay, so someone has leaked our episode. I would have gone as Star and tweeted to the to that overexcited fan
Right.
who has leaked the episode.
Leaked the
I hope you
episode.
remember Valar Morghulis. All men must die. That's it. That's what the brand needs. That's what the
Right.
internet wants. You
Right.
become human. You have fun with the content, with your audiences. You like they had a proper kind of PR release, like an official statement and all out. Nothing wrong in that, but why not have fun?
Right. Absolutely.
Why not be
Absolutely.
human about things?
Absolutely. And maybe controversies can be the biggest opportunities for marketing your brand. I mean, who knows? Right.
Of
Right.
course,
Absolutely.
you look at how Zomato does a lot of their influencer kind of collabs and picking up anyone even from their own team and making them a face of the brand. Smart
Right.
stuff there. That shows nimbleness.
Right.
That's something that always helps out.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And now I have a very fun question, a brainstorming kind of question to end this session. And it's
Sure.
for all of us. All of us. So anyone who's watching this video has to comment down the answer below. I mean, whatever comes to your mind, just comment down below, even if you're watching this now or if you watch this in the future. Now, if we have to come up with a push notification for Tang on a hot summer day, what would
Fine.
you do? Tang,
Okay.
the Rasna type
A
wala,
push notification.
on a very hot summer day.
Very hot summer day. Okay. I'll go with certain assumptions. I'd probably think that okay, I'm assuming my targeting is done right by the media
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
And I'm guessing the database has a good chunk of individuals who, as per their data backend, they like playing, they like going out in the sun, and or probably they are basically having holidays. They have a free period
Right,
where
right,
that sun, they're not really indoors per se in sun. They may have plans or not. Okay, so
right,
if I have something like that. What would I say? Uh, and again, just thinking about the tan tonality.
Right.
Let me go English actually. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm going mass, it's a push notification. It'd be fun to do something like, intense heat on the street, bro. Body ko tang nahi tang karo.
Absolutely. Wordplay.
Yeah, like, again, I'm trying to have fun, like, because again, what was the insight कि यार गर्मी में body को मतलब
तकलीफ होती है.
tang karte ho aap when you go out
Right.
to play. Fundamentally,
Right.
it's fun. So maybe just taking that and say something, whatever, like, super heat or, incredible heat on the street, bro, and, body ko tang nahi tang karo. Again, I'm just turning the brand into a verb here and make it feel like sort of communication. And of course, this would probably be followed by a, shortened URL to buy the product.
Buy the product. Right. Absolutely. And this validates the point that Pranay can come up with taglines and push notifications in just seconds.
It's just, again, like, if you like, as a kid, if you like writing poetry or
Right.
coming up with even mock taglines, it's fun.
Right.
Like, I remember this one activity my friends and I would do, and then later on, over the years when digital came up, it became like a sort of meme format where people were like, take X brand's tagline and mix it up with another product altogether.
Hmm.
And as a kid,
That's
we
a fun
always
activity.
remember, right? Like, oh, imagine move condoms, ah, se, ah, ta, ta, ha, 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 ha. But if you look at it in a more realistic way, imagine you have to shuffle, these taglines.
Right.
And what would make more sense? The same
Hmm.
format, somebody used it on a meme several years back, and I love it till date.
Right.
The movies Student of the Year and Three Idiots need to exchange their titles.
Hmm.
You get what I
Deep shit.
mean?
Deep
Deep
shit.
shit. Point is, it's not really deep. Okay, it's only when you realize that, oh, and then you're like,
This connection you have never explored before.
it's. I'll tell you the word. There's a term for it. Okay, it's if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called the Columbus egg kind of scenario, where,
Okay.
as per a story, it was like, Columbus was like, I have an egg, and, can you make it stand straight?
Right.
And you're like, I don't get it. Like, how do you make an egg stand straight and all? And then obviously there are only two ways of really doing it. If it's like a boiled egg, okay, you kind of ram it into the surface or whatever, it becomes flat at that point, so it will stand
Right.
straight. Or if it's a boiled egg, again, you can spin it. I don't know if
Right.
people know this, but it's a good way to know if you have mixed up your eggs, which one is boiled and which one is not, because of the liquid being inside, the egg won't, turn. But if
Oh,
it's a boiled
right.
egg, it will turn properly. So obviously,
Right.
while it's turning, it's straight. And now suddenly your mind is blown, like, oh. So now, even at your dying breath, if someone asks, oh, can you make an egg stand straight? It's a Columbus's egg situation because you know the answer. It's something like that.
Right.
So,
Right, absolutely. And it's a fun activity. I mean, people who are watching this, please do comment down below. I mean, what are your ideas? What are your taglines? And we'd love to read that and reply to that definitely. And this brings us to the end of the session. It was an amazing session, had some great insights. And more than that, it was a very candid conversation. I mean, I'm sure a lot of audience members would get to learn a lot. And thank you so much for your time, Pranay. I really
most
appreciate that.
welcome there. Most welcome. And I just hope the newer generation of, creative industry professionals that come on board, they actually come on board with genuine passion. Because
Right,
otherwise, again, guys, let's be honest. This industry is demanding. It's service industry. It's demanding. There
right,
will be times where you have to pull in long nights, long days. I won't even talk about all nighters. Sometimes for a week you'll be working non-stop, maybe even more. So it can be
right,
taxing. So you need to be a bit of that creative sociopath that you're able to relentlessly given that full josh in your creative thinking, not as
right.
much as physical effort of actually drawing stuff or writing stuff, but just mentally keeping yourself in a good state. Really, like, keep your mental health in a good space, and have that love for advertising. And I think this is a fun field to be in. and
Right,
and again, just one correction, I don't have 10 years of work in core advertising. i have
right,
I started my career basically as a storyboard artist. I went on to become an assistant art director in a production house where I was designing and building props. My grad
right,
was in filmmaking. I specialized in uh, animation VFX because your typical director can't do that. And
right,
then while I did all this, then I later on did my MBA and got into advertising, and that's where I kind of married my on-ground creative skills, storytelling skills, etc., with the understanding of how businesses work, and then crafting proper marcom, proper marketing
Right.
solutions for them. So
Right.
yeah, not 10 years, but yeah, अगर सब मिला के देखोगे फिर तो yes, I'm an
उससे भी
uncle.
ज्यादा.
Then I'm an uncle. Then it's more than 10.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for joining this session. I wish you all the best and take care, stay
Always,
safe.
guys.
I'll see you soon. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the opportunity. Yeah.